I'm gonna teach you how to snatch like Lasha, and we're gonna start right now. Okay, so let's start with who is Lasha Talakhadze, okay? He is easily the strongest and possibly the strongest human being ever, but 100% the absolute strongest weightlifter of all time. Absolute strength-wise, right? Not pound for pound, but he is the strongest heavyweight, super heavyweight of all time. He has the best snatch, the best clean jerk, best total. Okay, so he is an absolute freak. He's clean and jerk 267 kilos. He has snatched 225 kilos. So right around 600 pounds, just shy of both of those. So he is an absolute freak of nature. He's got great speed, great technique, great mobility for a super heavyweight. He's the Georgian juggernaut, right? He is an absolute phenom. And in previous videos, we've even discussed his career. Will he go down as the greatest of all time? We've even mentioned some stains on his career, such as failing a drug test, a doping test when he was 19 years old. He got popped with stanozolol. Winstrol is a street drug, not a street drug like cocaine, but actually a street name for it is Winstrol, so a performance enhancing drug that he was using. But since he served his 2-year ban, what has he done? He's won multiple world championships. He hasn't lost in years. He never misses lifts in competition because his technique is so sound. He's so precise with his movement. He doesn't miss. Whatever they put on the bar, he's going to hit it. He's a 2-time Olympic champion. And I believe he easily has the best technique out of all supers of all time. Typically, super heavyweights don't have the greatest technique because they have a large amount of mass, their gut in most cases, that they have to displace backwards. And we can actually see this a little bit in Lasha's technique. 2017, I would argue his snatch technique was probably a little bit better than where it is today, but typically because there's less acceleration off of their hips because they have to move their gut out of the way to then get to that point of catching that snatch. There is some physiological issues when you take a super's technique and you compare it to someone who might be a 73 or a female who's a 71 or a 49. Their movement patterns are going to be slightly different. In most cases with Lasha, that's not actually what's happening. So what are those key points behind Lasha's technique? Let's actually dive deep into this now quickly where we can analyze some of his best movements. So I'm going to start with Lasha's 200 kilo no feet double. Okay, 200 kilo no feet double snatch. And I want to, before we even go into this, I want to see each position. I like to cover what's happening from the floor to just below the knee. What's happening from below the knee to just above the knee. So what I refer to as no man's land, where a lot of lifts are lost. And then what happens at the top of no man's land, or the reciprocation point as I refer to it. At the reciprocation point, what's happening that he keeps his bar so tight? And then as that gets into the hip, from the reciprocation point into the hip, what are we gonna be looking at? What are his heels doing? What's his torso doing? What's his upper body doing? His upper body's phenomenally strong. He's known for muscle snatching, just tons and tons of weight, 150 plus, 160 I believe is his best muscle snatch. So seeing what happens and then getting into that catch position. So let's check out this no feet snatch so we can look at what's going on from each position. And so right from the floor to the knee, okay, here we are, we got a good setup. What happens from below the floor to below the knee? And you can see here his knees start to come back, okay? His knees clear back. Now they're not totally vertical. I believe when he was in 2016, 2017, his knees were a little bit more vertical. I think as he's gained a little bit more weight, his knees don't clear back possibly as well as they could, but they still go back and the bar stays tight, okay? The bar stays tight to the knee. You can see how close it is to his knee wraps there. Now, what happens as the bar goes from below the knee to above the knee? So through no man's land, okay? We'll go nice and slow here, okay? As he gets there, he's nice, super, super tight, and his knees start to come forward. And we'll see that even drastically here, that as the knees come forward here, he gets into that hip. When he's in the hip, this is the pivotal point of Lasha's technique. His heels are still down when his torso is upright. This position is almost identical to Guo, okay? Guo, I believe, has the best technique in the world. He's a super heavyweight and he's achieving this position with flat feet and an upright torso, which makes this so smooth. And then that's gonna lead into that strong upper body finish. He rotates, he stays grounded. That's why he's training that no feet position to stay as grounded as possible, and he gets to the heels quickly into that catch. Now he gets in that second rep. Let's watch this. Okay, floor to the knee, knees come back. Okay, they come back a little more than that first rep as he goes around the knee here. Knees come under, they start to come through. He holds the heels nice and flat here with that upright torso. That leads to that long, tall finish right there where everything's fully extended, his knees, his hips, his ankles are plantar flex, and he rotates that bar perfectly into position into that catch. So we know how Lasha's hitting these different positions. Now we're gonna go downstairs and actually apply this in a training session to help you guys snatch like Lasha. Before we continue to go into how you can snatch like Lasha, we've got to factor in two key components. One, we have to be able to recover from that training environment, and two, we need to make sure that our joints are as smooth and as stable as possible. And that's exactly why I recommend earth-fed muscle whey protein along with earth-fed muscle collagen. These are two products that are extremely clean. They're from grass-fed sources, and you can take this to improve your overall recovery, which in turn will lead to a bigger snatch. Now, let's go back and learn how we can snatch like Lasha. So we are here with the Irish shot put record holder, Eric Favors, who also subsequently recently broke the garage strength snatch record, which was previously held by Norik Varganian, who had come to garage strength multiple times and snatched 160 kilos. Frick snatched 161 kilos. I called him Frick. So Eric's gonna demonstrate now. We're gonna work with Eric and see how we can actually snatch like Lasha. And I told Eric before this is probably gonna be the most amount of coaching I ever give him in weightlifting because he's a shot putter. Okay, so some of the key factors. Eric knows his snatch grip. If you're watching this video, you should know your snatch grip, and if you don't, click on the link in the description and watch our how to snatch video so you can actually learn how to establish that snatch grip. So Eric, grab the bar with that snatch grip, get your foot position, and we're gonna go through Lasha's technique. Now, there's a couple key factors with Lasha's technique. Let's go down to the start position. The first key factor, and actually Eric is failing miserably right here, is that we wanna see the barbell right over his shoelaces here. So the bar will be in a little bit closer, good. Yeah, there you go. And then as Eric pulls to his kneecap, okay? Good, go a little bit lower on the bar. We want the knees back a little more. Let's go like right there, yeah, perfect. So Lasha keeps his knees forward just very, very slightly. In 2017, he would clear his knees back so that those shins are perfectly vertical. Now he's a little bit heavier. Those shins stay forward just a little bit, okay? So Eric has those shins, you could go forward a hair. Yeah. There you go, perfect. Okay, so now as the bar comes over his knees, okay, come up a little higher. Now push those knees under, just yeah, right there, okay, perfect. This is where Lasha is when he's at the reciprocation point, okay? So most athletes will lose their lift between here and here, and I call that no man's land. With Lasha, as the bar comes over his knees, he comes through just ever so slightly, but the main focus is that he stays on his heels until his chest is vertical. When his chest gets vertical here, he has knee flexion, his hips are extended, and then he has that big upper body finish. So what we're gonna do now, Eric, is we're gonna pull into the hip and just execute that finish. Yep, there you go. And yeah, perfect, okay. So let's do that and I'll let you go. We'll do like a slow snatch here. Focus on the bar staying over the shoelaces, the knees clear back. They come forward slightly. You stay flat-footed until you make contact, and then you can catch. And get to a flat heel on the landing. So knees come back. Good, okay, so that's fine. Eric actually executed that no feet snatch right there, which is where I think Lasha has the best technique. When he works with his no feet snatch, where he did that 200 kilo double, you can see him stay flat-footed very long, and you can see him get to his heel very quickly. So Eric's gonna do one more of those slow pulls so we can see his technique. His knees come back. Good, okay, now give me one in the hole. Knees clear back, then knees come under. Good, perfect. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do different variations from each position so that you can take these variations and then apply them to your own training so that you can snatch like Lasha. Okay, so that first exercise to improve our position off the floor is going to be a snatch pull. Okay, so Eric, like I said, snatch 161 kilos. He's gonna use 80 kilos, so it might look a little funky, but we're gonna focus on the eccentric movement. So after he does his pull, we wanna see him slowly work back through that patterning. And the hard part here is I'm gonna have to try and get Eric to think Knees come forward like Lasha, and then back as he passes the knee, and then they come back forward. Okay? You better execute this perfectly. So he's gonna do a snatch pull, and then very slowly lower it. Okay, good. Now go knees forward a little, then knees back. That's all right. Do that again. Even go a little bit slower on the way down. Good. So forward.
Forward.
Yeah, now back. Now forward. Yeah, good. Right there. Okay. And you can see, like, as athletes start to think through that pull, and with Eric too, I will say this. He typically would be doing a snatch pull at 160 to 180 kilos, around that range, okay? But as they think eccentrically, now they're training those positions and they're training the nervous system to use the knees coming forward, to feel the hamstrings and pull the knees back, and the quads extend the knees here. So now they start to feel those positions a little bit differently. So I recommend doing snatch pulls once a week, go to 100%, go to 110%, feel those positions off the floor so that you can snatch like Lasha. Okay, so that next movement that I love for the no man's land area, right? I mentioned earlier, from below the knee to above the knee. That's where most people lose the lift, okay? So what we like to use to train that position is a low hang snatch. So Frick is going to stand it up, and then he's gonna move forward with his knees and then back, and we want the bar right below his kneecap, okay? Right at the top of his shin, and then he's going to do a snatch from that position. So Eric, let's see it. Better be perfect. So go below the knee. Forward. Yep. Perfect, good, good, good. Okay, that's good, that was good. And you can see he even had to, you know, Eric, I think this is huge, okay? He's one of the best shot putters in the world, right? He's a very strong freak of nature. He had to just think through that low hang position because it's new technique, and he had to think through that. And that's where technical gains can be made. That's where you start to lift more weight because you're making technical progress. So very good job there, Eric. And now we're gonna go into that next position. Okay, so that next position will be above the knee. Okay, so this is where especially shot putters tend to be extremely strong here. Getting into the power position right here where we want to be with a little bit of knee flexion and our hips are extended. Okay, this is like the strongest position to be in. This is where everybody accelerates very, very rapidly. Okay, so what Eric's gonna do is he's gonna pick that up. He's gonna come forward a little bit with the chest, just a hair, and he's gonna have those knees come forward, and then he's gonna execute a high hang snatch. We'll go forward. Perfect, good, good. Give me one more if you can. Good. And now, one thing there, Eric sort of on the second one started to drift forward on him a little bit. IQ with most athletes, especially if you want to snatch like Lasha, if you're a weightlifter, you can use straps and you want to almost feel it dragging along the quads here, and then come back up, and you want to initiate the concentric movement by bringing the hips to the bar, and then that's going to lead to that big finish. Okay, so another thing that Lasha is known for is having an extremely strong upper body. And I can attest to, not only does he have a strong upper body, when I saw him in the Olympic Village, his traps are like up to his ears, right? He's just his t-shirts, all of his t-shirts are just stretched to the brink because his traps are so big. And I think that stems from the fact that he can muscle snatch 150 plus kilos, okay? And so if we can think about what that does for his actual competitive lift, what does a muscle snatch do for his normal snatch? It's gonna help him finish aggressively and then get under it rapidly. And so Eric is gonna demonstrate what Lasha does when he does his muscle snatches is he does not make contact and his heels stay flat. So he clears his knees back, his heels stay flat, and he uses that upper body without making contact. That's a very key concept here. If we watch Quo, when Quo does muscle snatches, she actually typically will make contact. So it's a little bit of a different position. So Eric, no contact, 80 kilo muscle snatch. Let's see it, Eric. Good, one more. That was good, yeah. That was nice. Perfect, good, good. So This is a great drill that you can use to warm up, to get that upper body stronger. And if you want to have your light days, I remember being around Lasha in 2019 at the Senior World Championships in Pattaya, Thailand. He would go very heavy. He had snatched 210 kilos. And then the very next day, all he did was muscle snatches and lighter pulls. So that's how you can sort of factor this into your programming. Okay, so that last key variation that Lasha uses is a no-feet snatch. And I think that the no-feet snatch is arguably the best variation of all time, okay? Maybe a low-hang no-feet might be the best, but no-feet snatches, this is something Norik Vardanian actually loved to use. His father, Yuri Vardanian, loved to use. And Quo's coach even said that that's the secret sauce to her being the best weightlifter in the world. So it's ironic that Lasha also is known to have doubled with a no-feet snatch 200 kilos. So if everybody's doing no-feet snatches, let's try to use those. And so Eric's gonna show that flat-footed pull position will lead to that quick catch position. So the whole concept here is we wanna stay connected to the bar, connected to the ground. The longer we are pulling, the more we can apply force. The sooner we get back to our heels, the faster we are getting into that drop period. So Eric is going to demonstrate. Let's do 2 no-feet snatches. His feet can plantar flex, but they cannot actually move out. So he's gonna start with those feet. His pulling position here will be where he typically will catch his snatch. Good, good, one more. Perfect, good, good. And again, I would recommend if you have a problem of jumping back, banging the bar, jumping forward, or not feeling connected to the bar, you can use no-feet snatches on a regular basis to help your technique get a little bit closer to Lasha's. So if you want to snatch like Lasha, you have to know the technical goals, know the positions and what you need to hit. Make sure you get a ton of reps upon reps upon reps, and then pick those variations based off of where your technique is not that good. Okay, you can use those variations consistently to improve your technique. If you need help with your technique, you wanna snatch like Lasha, you can click on the link down below and head over to garagestrength.com. You can pick up our snatch improvement program. And if you want more understanding of technique, we also have a weightlifting technique course that you can pick up today. Remember, when you go into the weight room and you wanna improve your snatch, you always have to cultivate your power. Peace.